Another dirty secret about Janja has come up. They're in the Brazilian press, right? Because there's so much bizarre stuff coming out about this woman that they just can't help but show it. There's no way to hide it anymore that Inácio rushed to give her an award to Felipe Neto because the situation was really bad. To divert attention too, Lula's minister has just been featured here in a report. He was there. He received the citizen's daughter-in-law. My God, on a Sunday, things are like a pressure cooker for Lula. That flop there, a failure. And guess what? Comedians are having a field day, a party, with so much clowning around at the expense of Brazilians. He's in a desperate situation. Staying or leaving, both mean trouble. Lula has this flop that failed. Maduro is falling over there in Venezuela. Now, even that woman over there in Mexico, who isn't in a good situation. Man, I don't know if he'll make it through the next few months. There's a lot happening, and I'll show it all here. Hit like. Come be part of our family by subscribing to the channel. Join our team here. Don't forget to subscribe. Look, friends, how interesting. Janja, right? Once again, that event she held in Paris, where she was there with Macron and all. Until that scene came out her, right? Welcoming Macron behind Lula's back while Lula clowns around. Igor Gadelha just brought it here to Metropole. He's one of the journalists closest to Lula, okay? It's always more biased articles in favor of the Partido dos Trabalhadores. Yeah, and he just reported here, look, Janja, that fashion designer event where she took that bunch of aides to France. She spent almost 500,000 reais. Led by Geraldo Alckmin, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce spent that amount to organize the fashion designer event with the lady, who is Inácio's wife. The amount was reported by the ministry in response to a request filed by Federal Deputy Gustavo Geyer. He made the request, and Alckmin was forced to provide it. According to the ministry, the amount was disbursed by the Brazilian Agency for Promotion, Export, and Investment, Apex Brazil, which was responsible for organizing the parade there in France, that he needs to favor the king's friends in every possible way. And then Lula, in this desperate situation after this report came out, he went there and was forced to distribute, handing out awards to Janja, to Felipe Neto, to all these cronies here. Just look at that. Lula awarded 262 people with the Order of Educational Merit. Janja receiving an award in education. What has she done to deserve this honor? Just look at that. It is intended for individuals who have distinguished themselves by providing exceptional services to education in Brazil. Is she a teacher? Does she teach at a college? Now imagine that teacher who works, who teaches, who dedicates himself to the fullest, seeing a situation like this, right? Janja and 15 government ministers were among the 28 honorees. They're handing out awards left and right to see if they can boost the reputation of these people, which is getting worse every day, right? Yeah, the Grand Cross rank, the highest honor, which was also given to 4 Supreme Court justices. That's what I'm saying. They're handing out awards left and right, right? Look at that. Also to Hugo Mata and Davi Alcolumbre. Guys, this is a scam right in the face of Brazilians, isn't it? It was the 4th time Janja was decorated by Lula. In 2023, she was awarded the Order of Rio Branco, Brazil's highest honor. In 2024, she was awarded the Oswaldo Cruz Merit Medal for contributions to Brazilians' physical and mental well-being. Janja contributes to the mental and physical well-being of Brazilians. I've never seen her do a jumping jack, you know? In May of this year, Janja was awarded the Order of Cultural Merit. The information is in the newspaper, O Globo. And then, my friends, the comedians have a field day, right? Diogo Portugal, right? Immediately posted this video on his social media.
If Lula's boat sinks, he would float there. He would have already diverted the life buoys. That's what I'm saying. What impressed me the most was the crew. There was Janja, there was Marielle's sister. It looked like a pirate ship, just cannons.
He didn't lie. We're seeing this medal given out everywhere now, from education. Look at what has just been revealed here, right? Company that hired, newspapers say ex-daughter-in-law, but I don't think she's an ex, right? Lula's daughter-in-law, overpriced books. That's because Lula is handing out absurd awards to these people. Lula's minister was caught red-handed. Look at that. Lula's daughter-in-law, Carla Ariane Trindade, was received by Camilo Santana, former governor of Ceará, and Minister of Education, in a meeting outside the Ministry of Education's official schedule. On Wednesday, Carla Ariane was targeted by the federal police for alleged involvement in a scheme to divert education funds in municipalities in the interior of São Paulo. Guys, are you seeing the cover-up that the mainstream media, the big press, Globo, and several other media outlets are doing? Imagine if it were something much smaller, for absolutely nothing. They would do that whole investigation with President Bolsonaro, right? Now here we see this situation. The ministry's records show Ariane entering the Minister of Education's office at noon on July 12th of last year. Her entry record at the ministry, obtained through the Access to Information Law, lists President Lula as holding the position. Carla does not have an official position in the government. In other words, she used her influence as if she were Lula to gain access to the Minister of Education. On that day, Camilo Santana's official schedule included a flight to Fortaleza, a morning appointment at the University Hospital of Brasilia, affiliated with the University of Brasilia. This appointment at the hospital lasted from 9:30 in the morning until 11 o'clock. According to the official record, Camilo Santana was in the capital at the time described. According to the federal police investigation, she is part of a group of 5 people responsible for lobbying the federal government to release funds to municipalities in the interior of São Paulo. Part of the transfers were used in contracts with Life Educational Technology, which provides overpriced equipment to municipal education. In the decision that authorized the operation, both Carla and the lobbyist Khalil Bitar, Lulinha's partner, are described as people with alleged influence in the federal government. Khalil Bitar, look at that, partner of Lula's son, Luiz Claudio da Silva, right? Lulinha. Here is the whole organizational chart. Federal government, influence, the names. His daughter-in-law, Carla Ariane, Khalil Bitar, Fernando Gomes, Carlos Augusto Cesar, Magno Romero Rabelo. Which is very strange. What's very strange is that Lula's son, he's not the main character. It's the wife, right? As they're saying here, the ex-wife. And we're seeing the media go after Eduardo Bolsonaro so much, and they've never found absolutely anything. About the president's 3 sons. Look here, the city halls of Limeira, Sumaré, Hortolândia, and Morungaba. Andre Marinho would come through here, going to that so-called Life, a shell company, turning the transfers into cash. The owner of Life, look, would be at the center of the scheme. He would be responsible for paying bribes to public servants and lobbyists who helped collect public funds. He would have even paid for 2 trips for Lula's daughter-in-law to Brasilia. Carla was married, right, to Lula's eldest son for 20 years. He would have met Andre Mariano through a municipal secretary of Hortolândia, Fernando Gomes Moraes, and Khalil Bitar. The federal police say the secretary set up meetings between the businessman and herself. After that, the municipality held tenders that were directed to the company. Carla's meeting with Camilo Santana happened precisely during the period when she was said to be most active in this scheme. However, the investigation doesn't clarify her level of influence over the federal government. That the federal police did not say. For the federal police, the scheduling dynamics often show that Carla defends the private interests of Mariano, right, before public agencies, mainly in the pursuit of resources and contracts. This here, it's a major scandal. Just like Lula's own brother, his union's vice president, who used to steal from retirees. And we're not hearing or seeing Globo making those, huge editorials about it. Natuzaneri, Andrea Saad, that guy Valdo, the one with the weasel face, Otario Guedes, Journal Nacional, everything covered up. If it were, for example, any other person, the Supreme Federal Court, Alexandre de Moraes, would have already taken the case within 48 hours to explain how it happened, how it went down, and all the people involved would already be in this situation. Remember the issue with the vaccination card? They arrested Sid so he could make that plea bargain, which was changed 9 times, just so they could do this outrageous thing they did now to President Bolsonaro. In a fictional coup d'etat. And here, the concrete evidence. How long will Brazilian society tolerate these absurdities? Every day a new scandal comes up. It's like every time you dig, you find a worm. Every dig, a worm. Look here, see? Yeah. Things just get worse. How did the scheme work? The investigation indicates that the scheme had been operating since at least 2021. The criminal cycle involved 3 main groups: Life Technologia, represented by Mariano, public officials, and money changers. According to the records, Mariano had privileged access to the municipal secretaries of education and created the demand with his products. With this, the bidding process was rigged so that Life would win the tenders in exchange for bribe payments to the responsible public officials. The federal police reports here that the amounts traded were up to 35 times higher than the market value. A book bought for 5 reais was sold for 80. It costs 5 there, but they sold it for 80. Public officials, such as the Secretary of Hortolândia, Cafu Cesar, and Fernando Gomes de Moraes, acted to steer Life's victories. The biggest scandal in the Department of Education meetings is extremely murky. All of this happened within this administration, within Lula's family. Auntie Anya received the Education Award in Brasilia. It's surreal. Then we think things only get worse. They definitely only get worse. Because Chuchu, see this info from Metropols. Lulinha's former partner also lobbied together with Alckmin, but this time during a trip to China.
Federal police investigate a scheme diverting education funds in municipalities in São Paulo's interior. Shows that Khalil Bitter used a trip by Vice President Geraldo Alckmin to China to promote his influence in the federal government. Bitar was once a business partner of the president's son, Luiz Cláudio Lula da Silva, Lulinha. He was targeted by the federal police for alleged involvement in this scheme of embezzling education funds. Bitar is accused of receiving $210,000 in monthly payments from businessman Andre Mariano to defend private interests in public agencies.
Guys, isn't it pretty clear? Former partner, a monthly payment of 210,000 reais for all this mediation. So for these individuals, it's the end of the world. As I mentioned here, you don't see, but not even 72 hours, much less Moraes 2 days. Putting all these people under investigation, opening an inquiry, nothing. Look, I'm going to tell you guys. It's unbelievable, what we're seeing and witnessing here in Brazil. It's really out of scope. For them, the issue just comes down to Bolsonaro, 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 Bolsonaro. And the band keeps playing like that. Lula has to reward Janja to try to cover up all these scandals that come out every day, every other day. Some weeks, it's every day, especially with this flop happening. Unbelievable. Let's see, things are getting intense. Things are getting intense. It's hard to hide all these scandals. Share this video on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel to join our family. I'll return soon with more updates on the Pays of Philos channel.